Starting off with the Stephen and Jessica Jill-owned, aptly named Daughter of Flower Alley, Christmas Flower.
Christmas Flower, she's got a bit of speed. It's very nice to have a horse run in Stephen and Jessica's colours for the first time. They stand out, and hopefully this filly stands out. I think she'll be in the money. We haven't over-tried her, but she goes nicely, well enough to expect a nice run.
Middle of September heralds green grass and a little smattering of rain, and you start off in the first of the afternoon with Tropical Sun, a first timer by Skit Sizzle.
Yeah, she's a nice filly, Andrew. I think it is the last meeting down the straight at Turffontein, so I may have rushed these horses a little bit to get there, but I think she's a nice filly. She is temperamental and her work is a little inconsistent, but I think if she puts her best foot forward, she should run a decent race.
And her stable companion will be ridden by Julius Mariba, daughter of Pomodoro.
Yeah, also a nice filly. I think she'll be running on strongly.
Matthew, this morning I bumped into Robbie Sage's assistant, who looks like they've got the form horse with the first race of the afternoon, but he said don't for 1 second believe it's going to be easy. There's some very useful first timers. So Piece of the Rocks obviously falls into that category.
Yeah, she is a nice filly. 1160 is going to be too sharp for her, and she's quite a big girl, so I think she's going to need a run to tighten up. And I'll be happy to see her running on. I think it's a strong field, so if she can finish in the first 5, we'll be very excited because we know that she's going to be much better over further.
Super. Then on to Marmacy in the second race with Shadow Creek.
Yeah, Marmacy, he doesn't really get going in the races, so we put blinkers on him, brought him back in distance. He's got a very fast pedigree. He's just got to get his mind on the job. So if that doesn't happen on Saturday, he'll probably be gelded. But we're giving him the benefit of the doubt, so we've put the blinkers on. And Shadow Creek has shown us some good work at home, has ability, but also is one that will probably need a run to tighten up and to mature. But I do expect a bold showing from him.
In the second race, you've got a colt by Pomodoro. His name is Westlife.
Yeah, Westlife, out of a Silvano mare. He's a lovely, leggy, big horse. I think he's going to probably stay 2,000 metres. But he is a nice horse, and I'm hoping that he can run a decent race over the sprint before we start campaigning over further.
Yeah, he's reserve 1. I hope he gets a run, but it's time for him to get going. Whatever he does, if he does get in, he's going to improve from here. The 1160 is probably a bit short for him, but he goes well enough to maybe include in a quartet.
Lovely. Then on to the first leg of the place accumulator. You've got Fairy Godmother.
Yeah, I mean, she falls in the same boat as the rest of our first timers, needing the run, etc. But she's got a start pedigree, and this kind of distance is probably the bottom end of where she'll go eventually. There's signs of ability there. Hopefully she's not too green. She can run a nice race.
Excellent. And you've got a daughter of philanthropist for Gaynor Rupert, who hasn't shown too much just yet. She's only had the one start.
Yeah, she was a little bit disappointing in her first start. We thought she'd go a little closer than that. But she never had the pace that we expected her to have, and I'm hoping that with a step up in trip, she will make marked improvement.
In the first leg of the place accumulator, you've got a horse called Mazavaru.
Mazavaru, yeah, her last run, she didn't get going. It was a very slow run race and stuck behind, and they made it a sprint. She's a big striding. She's not a big girl. It's not a heavy filly, but she's got a big action and wants a bit of pace. So if the pace is on, I think she's in the money.
Okay, then you triple-fisted in the next of the afternoon, which sees all of Against the Grain, In Cahoots, and Russian Beat take their place.
Yeah, a comeback run for all 3. It is quite a competitive race. I think Against the Grain would spearhead the coupling. On his best form, I think he should be thereabouts. Having said that, he may just be a bit ring rusty.
The gelding Green Haze takes his place in the lineup for the first leg of the Pick Six.
Yeah, Green Haze is he's always been a very immature looking horse. He still looks like, I've got 2-year-olds bigger than him, but he's a very promising horse. He's based on his third in the Dingons. We got hope for him this season. He's had to have a minor surgery, a surgery on the back of his knee. Was a little protruding bone there, which it's got a very good prognosis, and it's looking good. It was troubling him. I think in his last start it affected him. He's been gelded since, so it's his seasonal debut, and I'm expecting a nice run, although it's too short for him, but I'm looking forward to racing him this season.
Pilu is a horse that just always seems to slip under the radar. Looking at the betting, the turf accountants give him no chance, but you know he's run 2 races in July. He must be a fairly fit horse, and I think he looks like he represents a little bit of value.
Yeah, it is a competitive race. I think if Candice's horse puts his best foot forward, then he should be a tough horse to beat. We are just approaching this as a prep run for the season, but I think you hit the nail on the head that he's an underrated horse, and when he does put his best foot forward, he could beat a field like this.
Would it be fair to say that perhaps the Grand Heritage or the Charity Mile might be on his radar?
Yeah, either of those could be, but as I said, it's a starting point. I'm not going to do the donkey work with him on the weekend. He'll be running on at the death, and based on this run, we'll then plan his program.
7th race of the afternoon, Flying Winger.
Flying Winger is an honest performer. He's difficult to find the right race for him. You know, he has to run in these pinnacle plates, and he's not always that well off. But he's a competitor, and I think he'll be in the first 3.
Then you've got African Daisy and Jatorio to wrap up the day. The latter probably found the 1.5 miles too far for her last time out, and African Daisy also has a marvellous pedigree with some rather illustrious owners.
I think they're both fillies that need a lot further, and I would once again comeback run for both of them, and I'd like to see them doing their best work late.
On to the 8th race, the Northern Hemisphere 4-year-old Queen Supreme looks like she's a big runner in the race.
Yeah, she's a smart filly. She won really well on debut, and she's got a tricky draw to contend with here, so she's going to have to be at her best to run well. But you know, she is coming off a rest, and she will improve. We expect a big run.
On to the final leg of the jackpot, the filly Flying High takes her place.
Yeah, Flying High, although she took a few runs to win her maiden, she seems quite promising. She won when she went first time over the mile. I was trying to win a sprint race with her, but she didn't quite do it. Ran good races, but didn't do it. And the way she won the mile, I'm hoping that she could be a feature horse, and this race will tell us. She's got a tough nut to crack in what will probably be favourite, the 4-year-old of Mathew de Kock. But based on her work, I think she's in the race.
And then finally, triple-fisted in the 9th of the afternoon with Al Ragnar, Earthshaker, and the very well-bred Nimitz.
Yeah, they're all kind of knocking on the door. Al Ragnar was very green on debut, needed the run badly. We've put blinkers on him, so he'll be a bit more interested. He has ability. Earthshaker seems to be improving as he goes along. He ran a nice race last time. 1800 is going to be perfect for him. And Nimitz surprised us slightly on debut. We weren't expecting much, although it was over 1200, which is probably way too short for him. Saturday's going to be 18, which he'll be a lot more comfortable over. So, you know, if he can reproduce his first run, then he's obviously got to be a big runner.
Every single progeny out of the Giants Causeway Mare has been effective over any kind of distance. So with Captain L, there's every reason to believe that he may even get more ground than Soft Falling Rain, his half-brother.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange pedigree. I think Mr. Azzy's got Splendid Garden, who looks like more of a sprinter, 1400-meter specialist.
He's a bar, eh?
Yeah, and then Let It Rain is a
Stayer.
So it's and Soft Falling Rain was a pure miler. So it's a strange pedigree, and that's why it was pretty hard to assess Nimitz on debut. But he definitely looks like he wants ground.
Yeah, Jungle Book, we got hopes for him. I mean, 1800 is probably his game. His last run, he was a little bit flat-footed. He came out the gates slow and got into the wrong position and couldn't get going. We haven't got a great draw here, but that might be in his favour because he's a big horse and he's a bit slow at the gates. 1800 should suit him. That was maybe his second run after a layoff, that last run, and we're hoping that he can redeem himself here.